Welcome to Dark Bedtime Tales, where the shadows come alive with eerie stories from the unknown. Tonight, we delve into the misty forests of Michigan, where an ancient legend has stalked the imaginations of generations. The Michigan Dogman. A creature shrouded in mystery, it walks on two legs, half man, half dog, and its presence has terrified those brave or unlucky enough to cross its path. Though originally believed to be nothing more than folklore, the Dogman has since clawed its way out of campfire stories and into real-life sightings. Some say it appears every 7 years. Others claim it's always watching, waiting in the deep woods. Tonight's story takes us on a journey that blends myth, fact, and the unnerving possibility that something may be lurking just beyond the edge of the light.
Dark Bedtime Tales.
Chapter 1: The Broadcast That Awoke the Beast. April 1st, 1987, was supposed to be a day of laughter and harmless pranks for the good people of Michigan. At WTCM Radio, DJ Jack O'Malley and his production director Steve Cook were preparing to air their special April Fool's joke. The plan was simple: a spooky little poem about a mythical creature, the Dogman, that wandered the forests of Michigan. Cook's voice, deep and unsettling, would read the poem while eerie music hummed in the background. It was a light-hearted prank, meant to stir up just a little unease before the audience moved on. But Michigan wasn't about to forget so easily. The poem told the tale of a beast that would return every 7 years to prowl the Northwoods. It had the body of a man and the head of a dog, and it was said to feast on the unsuspecting after dusk. As soon as the poem aired, Jack and Steve sat back, expecting a few chuckles from their listeners. But that didn't happen. For days, there was silence. No one mentioned the prank. No one called in to laugh about it. Then, suddenly, the phone lines lit up. One caller, an elderly man, trembled as he described something that had haunted him since his youth. "It's real," he said, his voice barely audible. "I saw it, just like the poem, back when I was a boy." One story led to another. Soon, people all across Michigan were calling in with tales of sightings, strange howls in the woods, and footprints too large to belong to any known animal. By the end of the month, Cook's prank had spiraled into a phenomenon. But this was only the beginning. The Dogman legend had been awakened, and it wasn't going back to sleep. Chapter 2: The Watchman's Encounter. As the legend grew, so did the number of sightings. One story that stood out happened long before the radio broadcast, back in 1961. The night watchman of a manufacturing plant in Big Rapids had always known there was something wrong about the place. Located next to dense brushland known as the Haymarsh, it was a quiet, isolated spot, perfect for something to hide. It was around 3 a.m. when the watchman, sipping his coffee on the porch of his house, spotted movement along the chain-link fence. At first, he assumed it was a prankster or a curious coyote. But the figure he saw didn't match anything in his experience. At first, it moved on all fours, loping across the gravel near the plant, but then it rose. The figure stood on two legs, unnaturally tall, its fur rippling in the dim light of the lampposts. Its eyes glinted in the darkness, and the creature sniffed the air as if aware it was being watched. The guard, an avid photographer, rushed inside to grab his camera. When he returned, he saw it again, this time standing beneath the light, fully upright, its long snout silhouetted against the pale glow. He took the shot, his hands trembling. The photograph showed a blurry figure, a hulking shape covered in fur. Though the image was far from clear, the watchman knew what he had seen. It was the Dogman, as real as the coffee cooling in his cup. After that night, he never went on patrol without his rifle. The photograph, though indistinct, has since been passed down as part of the strange evidence that something stalks the woods of Michigan. Chapter 3. The Politician's Encounter. In 2007, a prominent politician from Benzie County had a sighting that shook him to his core. He had spent his entire life in these woods and knew the creatures of Michigan well: deer, wolves, coyotes, even bears. But what he saw one foggy night on Cinder Road was unlike anything he'd encountered before. It was late, close to midnight, and as his car moved down the deserted road, his headlights caught the reflection of two eyes, high off the ground. At first, he thought it might be a deer, but as he drew closer, the shape became clearer. This was no deer. The figure stood nearly 7 feet tall, hunched over the carcass of a deer. It wasn't on 4 legs like a wolf or a bear. It was standing, tall and menacing, on 2 legs, its eyes glowing yellow in the headlights. For a brief moment, it remained frozen, watching the politician with a predatory stillness. Suddenly, it bolted, vanishing into the thick woods. Shaken but determined to prove that he wasn't losing his mind, the man stopped his car, grabbed his flashlight, and walked to the spot where the creature had been. In the soft mud, he found a paw print, a massive 8-inch wide impression that dwarfed any wolf track he had ever seen. He took a photo, placing a shotgun shell next to it for scale. That paw print still circulates among cryptid enthusiasts, proof that something unexplainable stalks Michigan's remote places. Chapter 4. Across the border. Michigan wasn't the only place haunted by Dogman sightings. Just across the state line in Wisconsin, there were whispers of a similar creature. Along Bray Road, motorists had been reporting sightings of a large, wolf-like beast since the 1980s. Unlike Michigan's Dogman, the Wisconsin creature seemed even more aggressive, often lunging at cars or chasing them down the road. One evening in 2016, a young couple, sitting on their porch overlooking 300 acres of vacant land, noticed movement in the grass. At first, they thought it was just a deer. But as the figure drew closer, they realized it was much larger, and it wasn't on 4 legs. The creature crept low to the ground, but even in this crouched position, it was enormous. When it finally noticed them, it rose on 2 legs, standing close to 8 feet tall. Its eyes locked onto theirs, and for a moment, no one moved. Then, with an unsettling fluidity, it turned and sprinted into the darkness, disappearing into the trees. No one believed them when they told their story. But the couple knew what they had seen. Whatever it wasn't a bear. It wasn't human. And it wasn't from this world. Chapter 5. Myth or Reality. The Michigan Dogman, the Beast of Bray Road, and similar creatures across North America have stirred fear and fascination for decades. Some cryptid enthusiasts believe these beings are remnants of an ancient species, perhaps a type of dire wolf thought to be long extinct. Others suggest the Dogman is a spirit, a protector or a curse left by Native American tribes who once roamed the Great Lakes. Skeptics argue that it's all misidentification, that witnesses are seeing bears, wolves, or simply letting their imaginations run wild. Yet, the stories persist. The accounts, whether they come from terrified hunters or wide-eyed children, share an eerie consistency: towering figures, canine features, and glowing eyes that pierce the night. There is, however, another theory. Some believe the Michigan Dogman could be something far more sinister. They believe it may be a Skinwalker. A Skinwalker is a figure from Navajo legend, a witch or sorcerer who has the power to transform into any animal they desire. To become a Skinwalker, it is said a person must commit a terrible act, typically murder of a loved one, in exchange for supernatural power. These beings can take the form of wolves, coyotes, or even the half-human creatures described by witnesses. Skinwalkers are said to have incredible speed, strength, and the ability to curse those who see them. According to some Native American traditions, they are nearly impossible to kill, except by very specific means, like using a bullet dipped in white ash. Could the Dogman actually be a Skinwalker, a cursed being able to move between human and animal form? Perhaps that's why the sightings seem to defy explanation. Maybe, just maybe, the truth is far more terrifying than we could ever imagine. One thing is certain: the legend of the Dogman shows no sign of fading. With every sighting, every blurry photo or unsettling howl, the Dogman cements itself further into the realm of the unknown. So, if you ever find yourself alone in Michigan's wilderness, under the pale glow of the moon, remember the advice passed down through the generations. Don't go out at night. You never know what might be watching from the trees. Thank you for joining us on Dark Bedtime Tales. Sleep well if you can.